Yo, so this is a quick video showing how I made my new song, Crazy For You, which is out now on all platforms. Thank you so much for everyone so far who streamed it, supported it, shared it. It really means a lot, so let's dive in. So this is the breakdown project for Crazy For You. You might notice that the project isn't actually named that. Back when I made this song, in the early stages, the instrumental anyway, 2 years ago, I named it Lunar. I really can't remember why I named it that, but I just kept the name. So I progressed through each different version, and this is version 7, which is the version that I settled on, which I was happy with in the end. So I want to start off with the break instruments. So there's a lot of things going on, if you look at it that way. Not much at the same time. It's quite simple. So it is the same as what I have continuing into the second part of the break. Only being introduced. So using things like filters and automations, I slowly brought everything in. So for example, I've got the arpeggiator using the break. So it's just a simple sign I made in Serum. I followed the same chords that I do in the piano, but I used Ableton's arpeggiator effect to turn it from this, just a plain simple pluck chord, into this, which follows up and down the scale of the notes, which I thought is really nice. Then accompanying that, I've just got a simple sub saw. There's nothing fancy. Then I've got the LFO, which I'll address in a second. Then I have this, which is a horn sound from one of the Cashmere packs. So without any effects, it sounds quite nasty, like this. It doesn't really suit the song, you know, why would you use it? I really like the tone of it, but I thought it would really sound nice if it was pushed back in the mix. So using a couple different effects, it sounds like this. I really like using the auto pan on it as well, because it just moves between ear to ear and just gives a bit of ear candy. Simple stuff like reverse, reverbs to bring things in. And I've just used an auto pan to just do a similar effect to the horn, just much faster. Then the second part, third part, is just the same. Pianos are introduced. Just a simple chord piano, nothing too fancy. Some saturation, more saturation and reverb. I really liked the tones of the Korg, but it was missing a lot of natural highs. Because the Korg is a very dancey piano, I wanted to layer it with like a natural, nice piano. So for that, I used True Pianos, which I used essentially the same processing as the Korg. Which, as you can hear, sounds really nice and natural, but it's missing a lot of body and oomph behind it. So if you layer it together with the Korg, you get a really big piano overall. It sounds very nice. Then besides that, with the rest of the break instruments, I've just got an FM bass, which I bring in later on, and the reverse. I like using a lot of reverse reverb fills because it just introduces elements much nicer rather than just throwing it in. For the drums, it's extremely simple. It's just a hi-hat being filtered in for the first section. And then continuing on to the latter part, it's just a hi-hat with a snap, nothing really that crazy. And then I bring in the kick and a tambourine. Then really it's just some minor effects like some ambience, white noise, you can hear yourself. Nothing really crazy, it's quite simple stuff. The vocals I'll go over very quickly. It was by a vocalist called Joey Buss. He's a really talented vocalist. I heard his stuff before and I really wanted to work with him. You might not actually know, I wrote the lyrics myself to this song 2 years ago, and I just left at my phone notes. I never did anything with them, but I decided then, making this song, you know what, it would actually suit the song. I tried working with different vocalists and nothing really sat, so I thought, you know what, I'll do it with my own vocals that I'd written, and I will send it to a vocalist I really like. So I sent it to Joey Buss, and he did an amazing job on it.
I'm all alone, feeling frozen in time, sitting here as the world goes by.
I said, decent effects chain on it. There's just some pitch correction, multiband compression, de-esser, EQ, reverb, and then just a big audio effect rack, because I like to split my big hall reverbs and my delays on effect racks channels, just so I can control the level of them in the mix as well. So I think it's really nice. It just gives you more control rather than just a dry wet. In order to just make that build up, I like to use a lot of different effects on the master channel. So I have a whole rack just for that. I have a couple things going on in the build up. I've got an EQ which just removes a good chunk of the bottom end just before the drop, just to make the bass on the drop hit harder. Reverb swell, this isn't too fancy, brings everything up. Utility, which takes down the stereo width, makes just more narrow as it goes up to the drop, and then when the drop hits, it opens up with really wide stereo sounds. Then I have a gain, which takes down the volume, nothing too mad, and an endless smile, which really helps. It just gives you those risery, harsh white noise sounds. So I just loop the vocals, nothing mad.
You walked in, since the day 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 you walked in. You don't even know the things that I did to stop going crazy for you.
So nothing fancy on that. I think I put a automation on the reverb somewhere. I can find it. I didn't. Sounded like it. Effects is just a lot of risers. So sound risers, white noise, sub risers. So I'm a big fan of sub risers because it's something you don't really notice, but it just really beefs it up and pulls you up to the build up. And obviously just with the rest of the risers, it's very important having a lot of these like by themselves. They don't sound great, but if I was to play the build up without it,
You don't even know the things that I did to stop going crazy.
there's nothing there driving some energy to the top of the build up. Besides that, I've just got standard snare loop.
You walked in, since the day you walked in, since the day you walked in, since the day you walked in.
So I like to use two snares. You've got one playing a 16th rhythm. And also for this song, I did something quite strange, some would say. I used a pan just to flick between them, but I really like the sound of it. I experimented with this in a project before. Never really did anything of it, and then when I was making the song, I thought it'd be fun to try, and it just stuck, so I really liked it. So if I play the rhythmic one, so each one of them by themselves isn't strong enough to support the build up, so using them both together just flicks between and really helps drive it. And then I'm just using a auto filter, so this is the same filter on that. And then the introduction of the drop elements. So it's just slowly introducing the LFO that comes into the drop later on. So for the drop, I initially had the idea of having the chord progression playing through both sections, but I thought it'd be interesting to just try copy the first chord and just keep that playing through 3/4 of it, and then paste in the last chords towards the end. I thought that for all the build-up and progression, for it just to come in like this, it's a bit boring because the rest of the song, like the chords and the break, play the exact same chords with the same progression, so I thought the same thing just going on is just going to be boring. It is quite a simple song. There's nothing really mad going on in terms of the melody or no changes. It is quite simple. So what I decided to do was actually take the first chord and just keep that going, because I really liked the way it just held. It just kept this tension going, which I really, really liked. But then to make it more interesting, I have some reverse reverb fills, which without it would just be boring. There's nothing going on, so you need something to go on, some ear candy. And then later on I have a phase mistress. I really like this plugin. It's a really nice phase sound. So it's doing a similar thing. Like without it, it's just a bit boring. With the phase, especially being after the reverb, or sorry, the phase being before the reverb, the reverberation that comes through just spreads all the phase sound really nicely, as you can hear there. If I pause it quick, it's really nice. I have a string, nothing crazy, it's just a Korg string, which slowly comes through with the filter. That's just to keep some tension on it. Without it, it sounds like this. It's good, but it just misses something, which just brings it together. It fills up the high end of the frequency spectrum, which is quite nice. I bring in the Korg piano later on, which is a variation of the one I have in the break, with more saturation, more bright. But if I remember correctly, I took down the sustain of the notes because I didn't want it to just, the notes to keep holding on in the track, because it would fight with the LFO, because that's continuously going through, and if the pianos keep going through as well, it will just clash, so the pianos decay relatively quickly. You can hear it just going down. So then to bring it all together is the bass. Without it, obviously it sounds very empty. So initially the idea for it, I believe, is this. This was the bass I had originally wanted to use, which I liked, but I didn't really think it suited. It was very aggressive, it was too wide. I didn't want it to clash because everything else in the mix is already wide. The LFO is wide, the vocal chops later on are wide, drums are wide, so if I start putting everything to the sides of the mix, it's going to just collapse, it won't sound great. What I decided to do was change from this bass. I really like the deep tones on it, but it was just missing a kind of rhythm. If I play that with the LFO, for example, they're both fighting on the sides of the mix, and the rhythm just goes off. It doesn't sound great. So I started out with just a regular sub, just to keep it in, and I put that in mono just to keep it simple. I thought it sounds really nice, it fits much better, but it's missing some rhythm, because without that FM bass in it, I'll play that now. It's good. With the percussion, it adds more rhythm. But I just felt like there could be something else just kind of driving it. And then that's when I got the idea for the drop FM bass. So it's just the same FM bass I have going on later on. Nothing crazy in terms of effects. But it just really helps. By itself, it doesn't sound like it does too much. But if I play it, for example, back with the bass mix, it just adds another level to the song. And if I just put in the percussion with that, it's a really nice groovy feel to it, and I really, really enjoyed that with the song. That's relatively it just for the drop. Bar some automations, nothing mad. I hope you're liking this, because I've never done one of these before. It's much more difficult to do than I anticipated, but it's really good fun. I really like this. The second break is just the same as the first break. It's just a different verse, but it's the same in terms of what I've shown before. It's nothing really worth going over. The same with the build up, apart from the rate on the LFO. That's the only thing that's different. I just wanted to up the ante a bit more. So with the drop in the first section, I have the LFO going at a 8th note rate, which I thought was really nice. And then I thought if I use that for the second drop, it's good, but it's just the same. It needs to have a bit of difference, some variety. So I thought I would change it to a 16th note rate. Which I really liked. And if I play that, not the vocal chops, it sounds like this. I thought it was really good. It gets your head bobbing. I really liked it, but it's just missing something. There's nothing there. You know, you go from the vocals in the break, have some vocals in the build, and there's just nothing happening here, bar the drop. It's just missing something. So I was originally, when I worked with Joey, if I can find it, we actually had written for this section, but we decided not to use it. I can't even work Ableton, and I've been using it for 5 years. There we go. So I'd written this with Joey. Originally, instead of the vocal chops, it was going to have the verse play over the drop.
Ooh, crazy for you, yeah, crazy for you, crazy for you.
So if I can find that, it would play like this on the drop.
Crazy for you.
The wrong harmony. Should be this one.
Crazy for you, yeah, crazy for you, crazy for you.
Which I liked, but it just got very repetitive, so we ended up not using it. And then, like I said with the second drop, it's great, but it's just missing something. So what I decided to do was take the vocal and chop it up, as you can see here. So I'll play that without any of the effects, which has a lot of effects on it. Do that. So I just played that to get the rhythm down. But it sounds like shit. There's no other way of putting it. So there's a lot of just nasty transients. I just want to take that back, which tones it down. Then we have an overdrive, which really gives it the character. So I really like that. Then I just have some delays, multiband compression, EQ, more transient stuff. Then my favorite saturation plugin in the world, Faturator. This thing is just, it's brilliant. I love it. It's just such a nice sounding plugin. It really just boosts everything, gives it more grit. OTT, that's about it. There's nothing really mad. So it's quite important. Like, without it, it's good, but you want something to catch on to. So it was nice. It gives you some variety and something to catch on to. Then I created a second version of that, and I messed around with a plugin called Little Alter Boy and just made some automations on the format. So without the Little Alter Boy, if I can find it and turn it off, it would sound like this. With a slight melody change as well. It was good, but playing with the format just gives it more character and more tones. So that's really about it. Yeah, so thanks for watching. If you learned something, great. If not, go watch the tutorial. Just thanks to everyone so far for all the support. It's really nice. It's very strange actually getting behind the camera like this and making a video. I've never broke down my songs before, so yeah, I hope you liked it. Thanks.